Hi. Oh my God. Are you guys over this? I am seriously over this right now. But we're going to have a drink. A friend of mine, is going to show me how to make the perfect martini. I don't know if you guys are into martinis, but I think you're going to enjoy this person because she's super upbeat. She's got a very famous mom, and she's really, really nice. Let's see. Whoops. If she's coming. My daughter's cats are crying, and they're really annoying. And there she is.
Hi!
Hi, how are you?
Hi! I'm so good. You know what I'm doing right now? I'm looking for my shot glasses.
Are you?
I am. I'm looking.
Well, it's only 2:02 there, Kate.
I'm excited. You gave me an excuse to start drinking it too. It's awesome.
How are you doing?
I'm good. It's Friday, so it's great because no school for 2 days.
How are you doing with the school thing, Kate? I'm so glad my kids aren't school age.
That's how I'm doing.
Is it hard?
It's hard. Yeah, I think every parent, unless I'm clearly going into teaching. I'm in the right profession. Let's just put it that way. But I think that it's challenging. I mean, it's challenging, especially because we've got so many different ages. So
yeah,
Bing needs definitely more hands-on time.
And how old is Bing? Bing is 11? 8.
Yeah, and then Ryder's 16.
Yeah.
So he's in 10th grade. So he's a sophomore. So he's more independent, but still it's different, learning this whole online. It's a different way of learning for them. And
plus, do you have to just be on them all the time and looking over their shoulders? Because it's a lot of self-discipline, right? That they are online and studying and all that jazz.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's also, it's a lot of I think what's interesting about it is that for me, it's learning, seeing how my kids learn.
Yeah.
We don't get that opportunity. They go to school and the teachers are the ones they have that relationship with. And now I'm actually seeing how their brains really work in that kind of setting. And then having to encourage independent learning is really challenging because, they're used to the classroom. They're used to this sort of, being able to wrap up, there's so much project learning these days, so they're able to actually really communicate with kids their own age. And now they have to deal with mom and Danny, and we've got other things that are happening. So the balance is, I think, as hard for them as it is for us.
Do they get to spend some time virtually with their friends? And my daughter Ellie is joining us. Hi, Ellie.
Hi, Ellie.
She's out in Los Angeles too. I just miss her so much, and haven't seen her in a while. But
it's a beautiful day today. It was really overcast the last 2 days, and then it's got feel really blessed to be on the West Coast.
Yeah, Ellie said it got really, really hot recently there.
Yeah, it goes in the 90s.
Well, listen, I'm excited to talk to you about how many things you're involved with, Kate. I know that you're working with Allison Bresnick, who I adore, who used to work with me in New York and decided to move to LA. You've got such a wonderful person in Allison. I just love her. And I keep up with her, and she tells me all the things you're involved in. And I think you're the busiest person I know, Kate. You're doing so many things.
I do a lot of stuff. I do. But I like being busy. I think that what's happened is that I'm interested in positive and conscious business, right? So yeah. I have chosen to kind of create businesses more than endorse businesses. And
which is great because she told me that you are intimately involved with every detail of everything you do. You're not just slapping your name on things. You are actually starting from the beginning, from the inception of these companies, and really shaping them, and are just incredibly hands-on. And since we're talking about your companies, I thought that I should talk about one of the companies that I'm particularly interested in, which is
the most essential.
Your vodka company.
Yeah,
So here, how did you get involved with vodka? I mean, obviously.
Well, I drink vodka. You know how I got involved with? There's a couple things. Like when I look at things I want to do, I look at white space a lot of the time, like what's missing, especially with female founders.
Yeah.
And liquor, spirits is one of them. And then when I looked at the numbers of vodka, I'm a vodka drinker. I love all. I mean, I'll drink anything.
Yeah.
To be honest. But vodka's my go-to. It's the cleanest. It's you know, to me, it's like tequila. I'm risking a hangover. You know, if I go and I have a couple, you know, if I'm having a night out and I stick with vodka, I feel pretty clean in the morning. And then in terms of like alkaline diets, if you're going to drink, you really should do straight vodka or straight tequila.
Yeah.
So I just decided to make a vodka that was as pure as it could be, and also at the same time, I you know, when I was crunching numbers, you know, 56% of a vodka consumer is women.
Yeah.
So
somebody just asked if it's gluten-free, Kate. Is it?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yes.
So listen, I've got a shot. I guess this is old fashioned, but I showed this to everybody the other night when I was making a Negroni after Stanley Tucci's
love
video.
Negronis.
And this is a little thimble jigger, and it says just a thimbleful. And so it was my grandmother's.
That is so
I think
great.
I need to clean it. But anyway, so how much vodka should I put in my shaker?
Well, it depends on what you want. I mean, I do 2 to 1. So like I'll do I'll do two shots.
Okay.
I'm just going to wing it because that's how I like to do it.
Okay.
I'm just going to take, actually, I'm going to take the new one.
Okay. That's good too.
Okay.
And I also went to the liquor store and got dry vermouth.
Oh, good. I usually do a tiny bit of the vermouth.
Okay.
I do a tiny bit of vermouth because I don't like when it gets a little too. It's actually a very European way to do a martini is with more vermouth, more martini, and gin. You know, but the vodka martini, I like vodka. I do the teeniest bit of vermouth. And then I do it dirty. I like it dirty too. This is my favorite. Is the Dirty Sue. I don't know them.
What is that?
It's called Dirty Sue. It's a premium olive juice, and it was sent to me. My assistant, who is also a martini drinker, that's like our go-to. She gave it to me for my birthday, and now I'm addicted to it. I love it.
All right. Well, I went and bought olives, and I have a little juice in there. Perfect. So you put the olives in before you. I like blue cheese olives too. Someone just asked about blue cheese olives. Wait a second. How come I can't get this?
Oh, no. Where are my olives? Hold on. Let's find my olives.
Hold on. So you put the olive juice in first? Or while you're...
my olive juice in. See, I stir. So
I'm going to shake, baby.
All right, baby. I do a little bit of this, or a lot of it, because I like it.
Uh-huh.
Let me see. Hold on. Do a little bit more. See?
I wasn't a big drinker until about 7 weeks ago.
You know, I'm a very responsible drinker, but
me too. I'm actually just kidding.
Cocktails.
I like cocktails too, but people are saying blue cheese olives or almond stuffed olives.
I love a blue cheese stuffed olive.
I just love shakers because it gets so cold. Anyway, and so how's the vodka business going?
Good, great. I mean, it's interesting business-wise. Spirits as a whole are up 50%. I mean, it makes sense. I think that looks nice. I'm gonna do my little. Oh,
that's pretty.
I think it's my favorite. I usually put these in the freezer before I lose you. Uh-oh. Oh no, there you are.
My husband. Tell him that I'm making a martini with Kate Hudson to leave me alone.
Tell him I say hi. Remember
I
when
will.
I saw you guys the last time?
I will.
Oh, I like your wicker shaker.
Yeah, I don't even know where I got it. I used to think it was for coffee, and then I realized it was a shaker. Cheers, Kate.
Cheers. Cheers,
All right.
everybody.
Cheers, everybody. I hope everyone has a good weekend, although every day sort of feels like a weekend, kind of. But okay, so you've got the vodka going. You've got a podcast with your brother Oliver, which is so great, called Sibling Revelry. Are you enjoying doing that?
Yeah, I love it. We want to get you on.
I know. I have to pick which sibling is going to be the lucky one. I have a brother and a sister, and I don't know who's going to be the most dangerous. But yeah, we're going to make it happen. I have a sister in Boston, and my brother lives in Virginia, and they're both so great. So that would be really, really fun. Tell me some of the siblings you've had on.
Oh my gosh. Lately, we just did the Bella twins. Which I'm very excited about.
Wait, she's having a baby, right?
They're both having babies. They're pregnant at the same time. And like, it was really fun getting to know them. I guess you've done this your whole career, but I mean, getting to know people long form. I don't know about short form. Short form is probably kind of really challenging because it's sort of in and out and your brain's in a million different places.
And you have to get to certain points, but it's so nice to have a long conversation and not feel that someone just said they love my butt. I think they meant you, Kate, and not me, by the way. I'm like, thank you. But I think you accidentally put an I in there. But I think that long form conversations really are more satisfying. And I think there is this desire to have more depth and deeper conversations. And I do a podcast too. And I love the opportunity to really dig into topics and, and people are much less guarded, I think. It's something Howard Stern discovered. When there's not a camera on you, and it feels much more intimate. And I just think people are often more generous and more real when they're talking without a camera on them.
I think journalism and the subjects have changed because there's so much more transparency. Do you know
Definitely.
what I mean?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I know even for myself, I'm far more comfortable talking about certain issues now than I was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
There was this sort of old school behind the curtain thing, but pre-digital, media.
Right.
You really did feel like you had to sort of protect that because the time that it was shown was at a premiere or was when you did an interview with you, you protected your privacy differently. And now
I think didn't celebrities sort of used to think, Kate, that they wanted to have a little mystery? And I feel like now, because there are no gatekeepers and you can talk directly to people, to your fans, people who are interested in what you're doing, that and because young people share everything, I think they're just a much more sharing generation.
I mean, this might sound funny, but I think that there's I mean, I'm just gonna look at like the entertainer. You know what I mean? Like I'm a performer. And there is something about the arts that is rebellious. And I think that we get a part of the lure and the part of the fun is you're entering kind of this very fun, wild, where we like to think sometimes that no rules exist for us. It's sort of like the underbelly, like and so I think that clearly performers like to be naughty. And so it's nice to have privacy.
Yeah.
The world, though, has sort of presented a place where privacy doesn't really exist. And you got to cross your T's, dot your I's, and check yourself a little bit more. And that kind of naughty, rebellious world is sort of kind of not as fun as it used to be.
Well, I still think you have to draw certain lines, right? I mean, in terms of what you want to share and how much you want to share, right? Because I think that's so important too. And
Yeah, I mean, I think, especially, I mean, all of these sort of email scandals and all this stuff, that everything is so exposed. We're so watched at this point that the good part, I always look at the silver lining of everything. Like, yeah, maybe the nights aren't as naughty as they used to be, like when I was in my 20s and there was no, video phones or anything.
Right.
But you do live, you choose to then kind of check yourself differently and lead a more sort of very honest, transparent, life where you don't feel like you need to sort of protect yourself so much,
Yeah. It must be so different. It must be so different for you, Kate, than it was for your mom. How is
more fun than we did?
How is Goldie doing? Is she good? And are you guys seeing each other enough? Because I know you're on the cover. Wait, I want to show everybody because I asked to pull this up. It's such a great picture. You're on the cover. Oh, geez. Hold on. Oh, it just went away. Hold on. Hold on. Stand by. You're on the cover of People with your mom and your little girl, right?
No, little Ronnie. It was that was so fun for us to do, and it was so cute.
Here, I've got it so people can see it if they have. Oh gosh, I think that
you gotta get closer.
I'm just gonna
closer.
There we go. That is so cute. Look at you guys.
Oh, it is. I mean, I miss my mom. I miss like holding my mom.
Yeah.
We snuggle, and I haven't been able to do that for however many weeks. Hi, baby. I'm on with Katie Couric. You want to say hi?
Who is that?
My big man. This is Ryder.
Oh, hey, Ryder.
We're having
how's it going? How are you?
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing all right.
How's homeschooling going?
Great, actually. I have the best grades that I've ever had.
Seriously?
Yes.
Why? What is it about it? Do you feel like you could just concentrate more?
100%. There's no pressure, you know what I mean? It's great.
Wow, Kate.
Yeah, I'm loving it.
That's so awesome.
There
What's your favorite class?
Funny, actually. Probably geometry right now.
What? Really?
It feels so, it's the most rewarding class. When you do good in your math class, it feels the best. So it's not a fun class, you know what I mean? I love my music class. That's fun. But like, it's just so rewarding.
That's so awesome. By the way, of all my math classes, geometry was the only one that I was actually okay in. I don't know. There's something so tangible about geometry, right, Ryder?
Yeah.
I'm also like 2 years older than everybody in my class, so.
Well, that helps. Well, keep up the good work.
Oh, what's up?
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Proud of you.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
I love you. I'm just drinking.
And by the way, one nice thing, and then I want to ask you about your Fabletics line and other things you're doing. But Allison said you are the most upbeat, positive person, Kate, and it was it was so nice. And she said that your mom especially kind of infused you with this very positive outlook on life. And I think you have to be somewhat hardwired for happiness too. But in a time like this, where do you kind of make sure you're tapping into joy?
Another one. Do you want to say hi?
Look, hi.
And we're doing a little live right now.
Hi.
This is Bing.
Hi, Bing.
Oh, yeah, really.
Hi, Bing. How are you?
Good.
How are you enjoying school online? No, not like your brother, huh?
He'll get there.
Aww.
I think it's a harder transition for Bingo.
Yeah, I'm sure. Bing, do you miss your friends?
Yes. I'm on my friends on text messages.
Awesome.
Well, A's Cream.
Oh, okay.
So just a few friends and all.
We gotta be careful who, we don't know whose parents want us talking about anything.
So cute.
The cutest.
And where's it's Ronnie, yes, is your little one.
Ronnie is
Where's she?
Wandering around with Danny. She'll come.
Yeah, I want to see her before we go. So
Okay.
tell me, so you've got the vodka thing, you got the podcast, you've got you're obviously still acting. I want to ask you about that, but you also have your own line. And by the way, Kate didn't ask me to talk about this. I'm just super interested in the businesses that she's involved in. And I'm so proud of so many young women like you who are taking your, your fate in your own hands. You're not waiting. I just think that's a huge trend in your generation that didn't really exist so much in mine, that people kind of say, I don't need permission. I don't need a man to necessarily pave the way for me or to control things for me. I want to do this for myself, which I think is so awesome. And that's something you did with your, would you call it athleisure or your athletic line? Hi,
Yeah, I mean,
I love Upworthy.
Athleisure is now the dictionary definition of what it is, you know?
Right.
I think what was interesting about Fabletics for me was at the time that I, met my partners and decided that this was a partnership that I wanted to get involved in and look at it more as like, betting on a business versus, being a spokesperson for something, that I was actually going to create something. It wasn't necessarily hip. So it was like one of those things that, to me, okay, honey, to me, it was like, it wasn't a high fashion brand. It was affordability. It was about something that I'm really passionate about. And it was really, truly about being affordable to people.
Uh-huh.
And the importance of like talking about health and your active lifestyle to everybody, that it was inclusive. And that was something that honestly was a little bit of for me, people were a little bit like, are you sure, that you don't want to be doing the more luxury type brands? And I was like, that's just not that's not what I want to put my passion behind.
Yeah.
And it was interesting because I think it just goes to show that authenticity is always what ends up being the things that people respond to the most, that if you believe in something, if you're passionate about something, that people kind of think, they just know it, they feel it. And so the success of it has been, honestly, like, the success of it was shocking to me. I had no idea that even in that first year, how none of us did. We were sort of scrambling to keep up with the what people wanted. So we found the white space, and then it was clearly important that we started, that businesses and people using their platforms were using them for everybody,
Mm-hmm. And was the white space, Kate, affordability? Was it not Lululemon prices and not, is it mostly an online business?
So we're digitally native, and we were for years, and then we started opening retail stores, and then we were also kind of one of the first digitally native companies to do it backwards. So we realized that there was a great space for retail as long as you had that sort of digital component to it. And because that is our main business, we were able to focus in on the places that we know we have a great customer base. And what we found was that they were more inclined to go to the store, to want to see and touch and feel the product. Yeah. People actually do want to shop. But because of the way we live now, that it's nice to have the digital component gets people actually in the door of the store.
Yeah.
So now we're at 30. I guess I'd have to check 30 plus stores, and clearly right now they're not in. They're closed.
Yeah. Is that been a problem for the company with the retail outlets closed, or have you just shifted more to a digital platform?
So because it's not a huge percentage, I mean, we have a very growing retail number, but it's not the biggest percentage of where, because we're digitally native. For us, we're in a very, very lucky place to be able to hold very steady and continue to grow with having our retail stores closed, which is wonderful because we can support our employees
I was going to ask you, how many employees, Kate, do you have? How many people on your team?
I believe we're over 600 plus.
Wow, that's awesome.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's just, some of that includes some customer service, but and we have a lot of like shifting things happening, very like exciting. I can't talk about some of them, but there's a lot of exciting things that we're doing internally. We don't really we sort of stick to the clothes and stick to our, but we do a lot of things behind the scenes that are exciting for us as a company. And some of those coming up, I'm really excited. But once we're able to sort of open up again, we'll be able to talk about. I hope someone didn't just hurt themselves. Are you okay? Yeah. Okay.
Hey, Kate, have you been able to keep all your employees on? Given, a lot of people have had to furlough employees or let them go. Have you been able to keep them on staff? I'm drinking a martini, everybody, and I'm drinking it with Kate's vodka, King Street vodka, which has such a pretty bottle. And I have to say, this martini is damn good.
It's good, isn't it?
It is good, yeah.
Continue. Katie, what has been one of the most, I think the first couple weeks were really, really hard for anybody that is trying to manage, whether it be big business, small business. We are, from a business perspective, we really are entering a very, very, very economically challenging time. And so all businesses, I think, are scurrying to hope.
I know, I feel so bad.
Yeah, it's really terrible. And it's heartbreaking. It was actually, but what's interesting about from having multiple businesses that you sort of look at, some have done better than others, and whereas Fabletics being a more essentials that people are really wanting to wear, comfortable clothes and workout wear and their leggings right now, and it's something like Happy by Nature.
Right.
And Nyko, New York and Company, has been, struggling. Their stores have been closed. And all of these amazing people that work so hard and are very passionate about fashion and are being furloughed, and it's tough. It's tough. I've talked to a lot of people that have had to be that we've had to put in that position, and it's my only hope is that we can get things moving safely in a way so that we can bring a lot of these people back. And
yeah, well, I guess it portends good things for the kind of clothes that you're making, as as more and more people work from home. I think that's a great thing for you, because you're right. I think comfort is going to be extremely important. So
I do, and I think too, I just feel that it's every day, there's so many moving parts, right? There's the business aspect of it. There's either how it's moving, how it's growing, if it isn't, and then trying to support employment and trying to get behind that, and at the same time also trying to figure out where you donate and what are the best ways to sort of when you if and when you do have the means to be able to donate, what are the places, and what should the companies, sort of different companies get behind. And
someone asked if your clothes are sustainable.
Yeah, they are. And that's the thing that's really sort of moving to me about Happy by Nature. A huge part of everything that I'm doing is all about, trying to live more sustainable lives and create more sustainable business. Like even with King Street, like everything that we do is leaning towards sustainability. So, I think now more than ever, as we as we drink, But I think now more than ever, I think it's about, you know, healthy bodies, healthy planet. How do we live, you know, enjoying ourselves, being able to have a cocktail, but living smart and for me, sort of investing, whether it be my time, my money, and my resources. Hi, sweetheart.
I'm just standing here.
Okay, that's fine. Into things that are going to like build a better planet, a more, you know, because business, we're still going to consume. It's how we consume we need to change. That's kind of where as I sit here and I think about that, it's how do we get the world and everyone to make how we consume clean, sustainable, and affordable.
Right. And just more responsibly. I totally agree. And I think consumers really are demanding that. I mean, we have to, you know, hats off to consumers who want to buy and support brands that have a sense of purpose, that they feel good about consuming. Oh, people are asking where they can buy the vodka, Kate.
Oh, well, you can go on our site. We have if you go on our site, there's a locator and it will show you anywhere you can buy it, wherever you live, or you can get it. Like it's on Drizzly. If you're in California, BevMo has it. So if you go to kingstreetvodka.com, we have recipes too. We have fun stuff on there. So, but there's a locator.
So a couple quick questions, then we'll move on. But how did you get the name King Street? Somebody wanted to ask that. And I can't remember my second question because of my martini, but I'll think of it.
So King Street I lived on King Street in New York for almost a decade. And it was maybe one of the most fun moments. And I think in life you have these very sort of nostalgic, every time I drive by King Street, I just have this like overwhelming nostalgic feeling, and all kinds of things. I mean, it was debaucherous, it was beautiful, it was fun. I remember when
Hi, sweetie.
Did you let us finish, any?
Yeah.
Okay.
Or he can sit with us while we talk.
Okay. And you know, like I remember Ryder was a little boy, and it was during the blizzard. It must have been 2005.
Maybe,
and
yeah.
It was that big blizzard in New York, and I wrapped him up. I remember being on King Street, and I was like, we've got to go outside, and the streets were empty. And I wrapped him up in this big sweater, and I put him in a Bjorn, and we walked. And I remember Ryder looking up at this, and I was just like, every time I pass that street, I have these sort of nostalgic moments. I mean, things of like friends calling, going, what are you doing? I'm like, nothing. And then, you know, in the summer out in the back, kind of like having cocktails. So for me, it was really, you know, I think it's about how we connect. Like, you know,
it's just great memories for you, which is so nice.
And yeah. And then, so I thought, you know, I wanted to, I don't know, I thought it was a good name, and it makes me feel good every time I see it. So
that's nice. And and I was asking you before Ryder and Bing did a cameo, which I'm happy. I'm so excited that they're here, and Bing is so cute. Hi, Bing. You know, I was asking you about Goldie and your mom and how. Well, first of all, before I get to that, the second question, which I just remembered, I think a lot of people would love to start their own businesses, Kate. By Bing, what kind of what's the most important thing you've learned? I mean, obviously it's a bit easier, let's be honest, for someone like you, Kate, to start a business with, you're a household name, you're beloved, but it is an authentic thing that you're doing things that speak to you. But what's the most important thing you've learned that we might be able to share with the people watching this who might want to create something on their own?
I think you have to ask yourself why you're doing something, you know. And I remember one of my friends, she owns this brand, a big sort of fashion house brand, and and I said once I said to her, like, I just want a store. I just want to have a brand. And I want a store. She was like, don't do it.
She said, I'm giving this to my friend Adriana. And she said,
Oh,
sorry.
yeah. She said, don't do it. And I'm like, what are you talking about? I want to expand. I want to diversify. I want to get into things that I'm interested in. She goes, don't, please, trust me, don't do it. It's so much work. And I was like, okay, but and I remember the first time I started, just like the sort of inklings and ideas of wanting to build business. And you realize, like, you really have to be someone who loves the work, because if you don't,
right, there are no shortcuts.
No, and I remember thinking about, there's no shortcuts. There's no shortcuts, and you got to put the work in, and you have to build a very, building teams is not an easy. It's not an easy thing to do. It's a very specific thing to do,
and so important, by the way.
Huge. Your company, your product, your home is only as good as the team that you're building together. And you learn that along the way. But I understood what she was saying, because there are moments where I think that you have an idea to do something, and then you have to ask yourself, why am I doing this? Everything to me at this point should be about purpose. What is the purpose behind it? Is the purpose to, look, nobody builds a business to fail. You build a business to make money, to go out there, to be passionate about something, to
contribute,
and to build, and to grow, and to contribute.
Right.
Yes, but you want to grow. I mean, that is sort of the number one thing in business, right? If you're not growing, then what are we doing, right? And what is it we're trying to get to? And I think that the question becomes, what is the driving purpose? Because if your driving purpose is well intended and has and you're passionate about it, the growth, I think, will happen. And I think a lot of people kind of meet a difficult time when they don't have any purpose for it. The purpose was just because they thought it was a smart idea,
right?
Or that it would be a successful idea. I think that the things that, really, like, I feel if someone was trying, I'd be like, are you passionate about it? Are you so passionate about it that you're willing to work on it for 10 years before you see a profit?
Yeah.
And if you are that passionate about it, then you're in the right business,
Yeah. And I think you do have to do what you love and enjoy it too, and enjoy the process and the journey. Not necessarily the destination. Hi, I'm a little drunk. I'm just kidding. I really don't drink very much, so a martini is like, whoa, I feel really very relaxed. But I want to get back to Goldie. Before we go, I want to ask you about Goldie, and I want to ask you about acting.
Where are you?
I have a house on Long Island in East Hampton that I bought about 15 years ago after Jay died. I love the beach, and I really wanted to be near my friends because I was suddenly a single mom. And so I bought this house about 15 years ago, and I feel so lucky to have it. And this is where I've been holed up. And I love New York City. I feel like I'm a New Yorker at this point because I've lived there for over 30 years. But it's nice to have a little space. And this is sort of my happy place because I love the beach. And this is where I've pretty much been. Molnar, my husband, is back in the city, and I think he's sort of enjoying being on his own. Which I'm not sure what that says about me, Kate, but
hopefully. What? I think that's fine. I think, I
it's okay. Hopefully he'll come back at some point.
I always say, I mean, I don't always say, I'm saying to my friends during this time, like, I was laughing. And I didn't even get to this. I was talking with Jimmy Fallon.
Oh yeah, I saw that you guys could have had a little thing, apparently.
Right. But it was so funny because I thought to myself, like, before I did it, we do our pre-interviews sometimes depending on what we're doing. This is fun. We didn't do a pre-interview,
which is so great because it usually feels so rehearsed, like, oh, I have to talk about this and then I'll talk about that and then you'll talk about this. And I bet it's so much more fun to do it just kind of letting it rip, right?
I love a no pre-interview, but what I was going to say was I have this whole thing. I've been writing them down of all of the rules that I've had in this house that no longer exist. Like it's like quarantine rules for me. It's like, you know, we used to make sure that at least 3 times a week we sat together and had dinner as a family. Right. You know, it's important to sit around the table. And now it's the opposite. It's like, here's the thing. We are having dinner alone. We're going to have dinner alone in our own spaces. I don't care where you're eating.
I don't care what you're eating.
Anybody.
Yeah.
I'm very happy. I'm going to be in my closet, like in a little hole eating my dinner. And I don't want to be disturbed. And I feel like it's like so nice. The family's around and we're all together. And I'm like, come on, let's be honest. I can't stand the way. I can't hear anybody chew anymore.
Oh, my daughter asked me once if I could stop breathing so loud. And I'm like, or stop breathing, period. And I was like, come on. I don't think that would be a great idea.
The sound of the food eating is like, do you remember War of the Roses?
Oh, yeah, of course. And Kathleen Turner and Michael Douglas and how much they hated each other.
Oh my God!
I'll have another sip.
And she says, "The way you eat makes me want to smash your face in." Okay, like internally, yes, that's a little strong, but internally, I'm like, that is exactly what I'm feeling.
Oh, I hear you. I know. Isn't it funny? Like every little thing. I think that's why my husband is taking a little hiatus from me. I think I was really bugging him, but that's okay because I love him and I like being independent too.
We are not. Look, we are as Homo sapiens. Great book, by the way. Have you ever read it?
Yes, I have it, but I haven't read it, which is sort of the story of my life.
It's so good. It's such a great book.
I buy a lot of good books and they sit there and I'm like, I really want to read that book. And then I don't.
It's so informative. And one of the things I realize now is like this idea that, especially for women, that we're like supposed to do everything on our own, that we're supposed to raise children on our own. You know, I remember sitting and having dinner with a man once. I mean, there was multiple people. There was a certain guy, and he was talking about how he would never have a nanny, and that would never be the wife that he would be with, and he would never have help, that he wants his wife to be the one raising their kids, right? And I thought to myself, like, one, I'm so happy this is not the man.
Yeah, exactly.
But two, that we aren't meant to do this alone as women. That as a tribe, we would assist each other in helping to raise our children. We could never do it alone. And like I think about that now, and here we all are alone.
Yeah.
Know? And there's no outlet. There's no school to give the relief, or there's no friendships.
No, it's terrible. No break. And I just want to raise my glass to all the moms out there, Kate, because, you know, I think that sometimes it hasn't really happened recently, the mommy wars between women who work and women who stay home and take care of their kids. But I think one thing that everyone has realized that is a huge, really important and very difficult job. So I would like to propose a toast to all of those ladies who are doing that.
I have to say, women, you do, and men now, and my hope is that my big policy change that I would love in America is equal maternity and paternity leaves.
Definitely. It's so insane that we're the only developed country that doesn't have it.
I mean, I have an equal partner. If I'm going to be an equal partner, then we need equal rights in the workplace. And like,
I agree.
I don't know why my husband can't choose to take those 3 months and let me work, or vice versa, you know, in a corporate situation, right? And I, as someone who is now in business, I propose these things to other businesses to take on, you know, for them, you know, as something they should be proud of. Like, as a business, please make this your policy, because
Well, you know, it's interesting, Kate, because I do think that this period of time is going to make us reassess a lot of public policies and a lot of kind of the way we live and the things we value and our priorities. You know, for example, someone just talked about teachers. I've always felt that teachers are so undervalued and underpaid, and they need, you know, in Japan, teachers are considered sort of really high in terms of status symbols.
It's devastatingly terrible how we don't take care of teachers' salaries better.
I agree, and teachers these days do so much more than just teach.
Oh,
they're helping
educational
families,
system,
and you've seen them really step up in a significant way. Anyway, Kate and Katie talk public policy, but tell me, just I do want to know what Goldie taught you and Kurt growing up that gave you such a positive outlook, because I think I just read a piece on caution fatigue. I think people are sort of getting so tired and so bored of the current situation. They're starting to be a little lax. I have to admit, I'm starting to be a little lax about washing my hands regularly and being quite as neurotic as I was initially. And that's something that's real that we need to kind of guard against. But that didn't really have to do with what I was asking, but I wanted to ask what
okay.
Goldie, what Goldie kind of taught you about. I know she believes deeply in meditation. I adore your mom. She's done so much incredible work for kids in schools with meditation and mindfulness. But
brain science. I mean, really,
yes,
it's all neurologically, you know, based on you know, it's neuroscience. It's like teaching the kids about the power of their brain. Yeah.
Your mom is one smart cookie, and I think because she's so adorable, and you know, on Laugh-In she was sort of crazy, and she sort of in some of her roles has been kind of ditzy, but Goldie is so smart. I presented her an award at the Child Mind Institute, and I've also interviewed her obviously a number of times, and she is so committed and so smart. But I wanted to know.
I always say, like, don't be fooled by the lightness on her feet. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, don't be fooled by this. Like, she is one wise, smart, trailblazing woman. I mean, I think, you know, what you're asking is about sort of the positive outlook. And
right.
I think that, you know, it's interesting because I don't think positive outlook or teaching positivity or happiness comes from pretending that life is happy all the time. You know, I think it comes from honesty and recognizing, like, everything that, like, my mom is really passionate about is that we have a very, very complex special muscle that we can control, and it's our brain. And from a very young age, my mom was always so passionate about this as a mechanism that I think she was just able to kind of allow us to understand that, you know, in order to find happiness, in order to be optimistic, like, we actually need to, you know, it's a discipline
and a muscle, really, in some ways,
a muscle.
Right?
We do. We are, you know, the brain to me and to my mom is the most fascinating thing. And we have the ability to make choices that can either help us to see the silver lining or not. And sometimes they're stronger than others. And clearly, you know, when people suffer, you know, they do need assistance and things like that. But the sort of simple thing of teaching children that we have the ability to regulate and to look at our life as, like, we can get through something.
Right.
We can choose to regulate the pressure that we feel. We'll create more happiness. And we know now that through neuroscience that we can build those parts of our brain and strengthen them. And honestly, I think that is part of what it is. I think it's just how you you are what you learn or what you know. And I do think that my mom's, I think that how, they've always chose happiness.
Yeah.
And I think that little things like, to sing, to be elated, to celebrate each other.
Oh, yeah.
What?
Yeah.
To celebrate.
No, my phone just went crazy. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
And we also have a very I think our family, it's one of those things there's no, we know, you count your blessings, you're lucky, but at the same time, you also know life's fleeting. We grew up knowing life's short,
How did you know that life was short and that we're all terminal and that we have a finite amount of time on the planet? I mean, I think I learned that when my husband died, but that's something that is often, you learn the hard way. So how did you learn that?
Honestly, I think because Kurt is a realist and very practical, and my mom is a Buddhist and very, a lot about impermanence. And even as a kid, when you grow up with that, you're sort of, not in a very morbid, negative way, but in a sort of enlightening way, you realize what are we going to do with today? Life, we don't know what life brings tomorrow. Or what are we going to do right now? And how are we going to enjoy, how we live? I think it's always been just kind of their ultimate philosophy from two very different places. And then I think that a lot of it is gratitude too. I think when you live in gratitude, I know it sounds like hoity-toity a little bit, I guess, but when you live in gratitude, you do attack your day differently,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I just know when I'm on my deathbed, whenever that day is, that I want to choose happiness, or at least a joyful day today,
Right.
And I don't want to live in fear of that. I don't want to live in fear of anything really. I want to try to, and I think that I want to try to live, in truly being grateful that I'm just able to be alive, and
yeah. It's sort of like when you have your health and nothing hurts and you can get out of bed, and how when you have a stomach ache and you're really in pain and you're like, why don't I appreciate when I'm not like this? I think we have to all remember that just waking up and not being in pain or not feeling bad is something in and of itself to be grateful for. So anyway, I
also
go ahead.
I was going to say, I think that, we, whether or not you are religious or spiritual or whatever it is, I do actually think that faith and spirituality and how we can see a bigger picture is so important. And I don't, and not to separate us from each other, but to realize that we're all we all meet the same destiny.
I agree, but I don't know. Sometimes I get depressed because I feel like no matter how much we're in this together and in the same boat, there seems to be so much vitriol and anger and hate, and we seem to have forgotten, I think, how to be kind to each other, even in our different circumstances. And that makes me so sad. And I sort of thought, well, maybe this will change the way people are. But I do think that people feel comfortable in their corners, and they need to learn how to be more accepting and more open. And it just has become such a negative environment. And I just wish that we could do something about that. And I don't know what the solution is. I honestly don't.
I know it sounds, I think that the digital era has shifted consciousness a bit, right? Some people call it the de-evolution of us.
Yeah.
As well as the great connector. But we have to remember that we are a tactile being. We need to touch, we need to hold, we need to connect. And one of the things that I think inside of negativity, you might find that, I love the hugging saint, because I find that when you hold someone, when you really actually are able to touch and connect with someone, that people let their guard down. You find they cry, you find they feel that they have literally a shoulder to cry on. And with all of this communicating with people isolated and lonely, and I don't even mean just in quarantine, I mean just in life, feeling alone. They don't have the person that's there to just sort of calm them or hold them or feel loved. And I think at the core of all of it is a feeling, a sort of a very, there's so many people who feel unloved.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think you're right. Or afraid, or feel bad about themselves. So they vomit this negativity, and it's just sometimes tough and so depressing. And anyway,
yeah,
Adriana's like, whatever. She thinks I'm weird that I keep talking.
I think compassion, I sometimes, we are a defensive being, right? So when things feel like this, you get defensive, but my constant, and I'm a fiery girl, but I think compassion is truly has to be the way forward, because when you hear these stories or you see them, I was watching something on Netflix the other day, and it was a woman who was sharing forgiveness of someone who actually killed their son. And she was in an act of forgiveness. I felt so much. The person, the murderer was so overwhelmed that you watched them actually like lose it. And I thought to myself, what an interesting observation to observe something like that the forgiveness, you actually were able to sort of, transparently see that not to ever say that anything like that should ever be forgiven, but or right in any way. But I'm just saying that the act of forgiveness and things, it does, and compassion does.
It's liberating
the course of peace.
Mm-hmm.
And I think so when you feel that kind of negativity or you see it, I think if you shift it, if you reframe it, that we can start to it starts to kind of diffuse sort of.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same impact,
Yeah.
I don't know. We're drunk. No, what are we talking about?
No, we're not. No, we're not. It's nice to be able to actually talk about real things and real feelings. And I know, blah, blah, blah. It's so funny, some people, I'm sort of like, sometimes I'm like, if you're going to be negative, then why are you here? Then do something else with your time, But I want to ask you before I go, what about acting? What's going on with your acting stuff? Are you looking? Are you working?
I was just laughing about that. Of course. It's funny. I stopped. I had Bing. I then was building business. Right. I was traveling a lot. I then started, I would dabble. I'd be like, okay, well, I'll go do this. And it was kind of nice to take a big break because I didn't do much. And then I was about to sort of start this kind of big, long couple years. And then I met Danny and I was like, oh my God. And then of course I had a baby. And in the meantime, I've been developing all of these projects. As you said, it's actually a lot more fun when you develop your own things because it's what you really want to do.
And you have more control.
Yeah, you have more control. And I think that also, you know, it's hard to find good, very well written female led material. You know, if I told, I mean, it's funny. I mean, even in this, you know, yeah, once you hit like, I remember one time I was like, I just got sent like the wife, like you're gonna be the strong supporting wife. You know?
Come on. Don't you think that's changing though? Don't you think that's changing? Because I feel like people like you and Reese Witherspoon, you have the power to create great stories, and that you don't have to rely sort of on the man like you used to. And so I hope you embrace that.
I think that when you're in it, I think that the idea is there. The reality is still getting there. You know?
I hear you.
And so, but I mean, I have got like the most awesome cheerleaders, you know. I mean, I can't wait. There's a couple people, we haven't announced anything yet, but there's a couple like women in big sort of streaming areas and things that I'm working with, and I'm excited about that. But right now, I don't know if we're going to be able to work for a long time, for a while.
Well,
you know,
I think
as an actor to actually to get a movie or a show going.
But now is a good time, I think, to kind of create and develop and think about things and kind of lay the groundwork for projects that you can't actually do physically, but you'll ultimately be able to do. So maybe take advantage of that. I don't know.
Yeah.
Oh,
a lot of developing happening. It's actually really fun. I had my first Zoom table read.
Oh, really?
For something that I'm producing, and yeah, it was really fun. It was different. I'd never done that before, you know, but we were all really excited. We had some amazing actors on there, and we were all excited. We're like, oh my gosh, you know, I mean, if anybody out there who's listening, like if you're an actor, like you just love to do it, you know, any time to play a different character is the best. And so it was actually really fun to do that. But yeah, I mean, there's going to be a lot of things to be made after this time, and when we can get back into, you know, working in bigger groups and stuff.
Well, I think people would love to see you doing whatever it is you want to do, Kate, because you're such a positive spirit, and my phone is going to run out of batteries. So
it's okay, me too. I'm literally on like 10%.
Oh, wait, Kate, I have to, because my team, because I started this company, you know, 2 years ago, because I sort of wanted to be the boss of me as well. And so they always get on me if I don't mention my newsletter and my podcast. My newsletter is called Wake Up Call, and you can go to katiecouric.com.
I'm a part of your newsletter.
I know. Thank you, Kate.
I get your newsletter.
And, you know, it's great. We have 4 really smart, great women who put it together every night. And we have a podcast called Next Question, and yours is called Sibling Revelry. And I'm definitely going to do it. And it's been so fun talking to you. You know, I told Allison that I just really like you, and that you're such a positive force in the world. And so I hope that people got something from this. And if they didn't, I did.
Well, I love you. And I mean, it's so funny because I look back. I mean, I started getting interviewed, 20 years ago? And I think you interviewed me. It must have been
for Almost Famous, maybe?
Yeah, and that's 20 years this year. So, you know, I mean,
that's so crazy. That was such a good movie.
But I just love you, and thank you for everything that you do, Katie, because you're a curious, wonderful woman, and
a little crazy.
And no, but it's fun. Crazy's fun. Come on.
Crazy is good. I'm going to put that on a pillow. Crazy is good. Anyway, Kate, tell your kids that I had so much fun meeting them, and hopefully I'll talk to you soon, and tell Allison I said hi, and that
I will.
I'm so happy for her because she's having a great time.
She's awesome.
Yeah. All right.
Thank you.
And your mom too.
Yes, I will.
Okay. Bye, everybody.
Bye, Katie.
Happy weekend. Bye.